Yeah, all right. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you for attending my session this morning. It is 9 a.m. sharp. I'm going to start now. Before I start, just a little bit on what to expect for this morning session. For today's session, it will take roughly around 2 hours plus. Okay, and what we are going to do is we are going to discuss on the key elements on this thing called transformative learning. During this session, I hope to make it as interactive as possible. If you do have any questions, please feel free to, you can voice your questions out by unmuting yourself and to ask, or you can put it in the chat. However, if it's in the chat, bear with me sometimes that when the chat comes out, I may not attend to it immediately. Okay. Today we have quite a good number over here. I think many of you are actually quite interested to know what transformative learning is and basically how we as an institution would like to look into being transformative ourselves. Now, I think it's important for us to understand, first of all, this thing called transformative learning. As we go along, I will speak more about it. But one thing that I would like to actually start off with is when we look into learning itself and what transformative learning is, basically it is the understanding that students today are very much different from students of before. And being so, there is a need for them to learn in a different way. Okay, due to the aspect of the environment, due to aspect of technology, and due to aspect of the syllabus itself. That is why when we look at transformative learning, the learning needs to change. And when the learning changes, we as educators or teachers or academicians or as what many of you would call, we will need to change accordingly to ensure that the learning, the change of this learning takes place. Okay, that is why learning is the one that drives the teaching. Okay, learning is the one that drives the teaching. When learning changes, teaching needs to change. So learning is a process that is on a continual change. All right, whatever that was taught 10, 15, 20 years ago was very much different from what was taught 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and today itself. And I can safely say what is needed tomorrow and down the road will totally be different. That is why for many of you who actually are program designers, we know what PEO is, program educational outcomes or objectives. It is basically what the students need to attain when they graduate with your transcript, with your qualification, and how competent will they be in the work environment or the role that they're going to play. And that changes periodically. It always changes. That is why every year you need to do program or curriculum review. All right, you need to review your curriculum to make sure that you are, in a way, updated. And this is all driven by this, the learning, what learning that is needed. Learning changes when the market changes. Learning changes where technology changes. Okay, and then it actually drives us as educators itself. Okay, so for today's session, basically what we're going to look at the future of higher education in a disruptive world. We are going to eventually talk about open and distance learning, micro-credentials, blended hybrid learning, and so on. These are the outcomes of what transformative learning is. But in the first part, I will always emphasize, I will stress quite a bit on the key aspects of transformative learning itself. So for us to start this session off, I have a very short kind of a quiz. I won't call it a quiz, but it's more like a brain teaser over here. Let's see what do we think about it. Okay, so I want all of you to read this. I will read it with you. And then from there, I want you to put your answer in the chat box. Very straightforward. There's this guy named Steve. Here's a description of him. Steve is very shy and withdrawn, invariably helpful, but with little interest in people or the social world. A meek and tidy soul, he has a need for order and structure and a passion for detail. Steve lives in the United States. So is Steve more likely to be a farmer, librarian, or salesman? So I want you to put your answer in the chat box. Just put 1, 2, or 3. Just put 1, 2, or 3 so can. Librarian, very good. So Evelyn, good. You put your answer to librarian. Okay. Sheila, Jain, okay, Hajar, Siti Hajar, Sing Ping. 2, librarian, okay, structured, passion for detail. Sharina, farmer, yes. Okay. We have one farmer over there. We have many librarians. Okay. So what do you think? Okay. Librarian, selling. Okay. So majority of you have put being a librarian. Okay. Can be any one of them. Yes. All right. So let's analyze and look into the sentence itself, what kind of person he is, what kind of character this person is. All right. And because of that, many of you have made an assumption. All right. You assume that he is then a librarian. Now, however, let's look into this. He is 83 times more likely to be a salesman and 22 times more likely to be a farmer. All right, he is 82 times more likely to be a salesman and 22 times more likely to be a farmer. Now, why is that? Why is he so? Well, there are a lot more farmers and salesmen than librarians in the United States. Correct. Okay, there are much more farmers and salesmen than librarians in the United States. So the chances of him being a farmer and a salesman, if you can see over there, is 83 and 22 times. His character or his personality does not have an impact on what he is or who he is itself. All right. So basically, what this says over here is true to all of us, to many of us. Many of us are the same. And that is this. We suck at predicting things. All right. We are individuals who predict, we predict on a regular basis, but we don't do it very well actually. We always take assumptions into consideration. Oh, he is quiet. It can be a quiet farmer. It can be a quiet salesman. Oh, he is very tidy. Does it mean a farmer is not tidy? Does it mean a salesman is not tidy? Oh, he is very meek. Maybe doesn't like to meet people. Many farmers don't like to meet people. All right. It doesn't mean a librarian itself do not like to meet people. So basically, this was taken from this book itself. Thinking Fast and Slow is by this Nobel Prize winning behavioral economist itself. Now, the reason why I put this in is when we look into transformative learning, many a times we assume we know what students want. We assume that this is what we do and this is what the market will need down the road. We assume that our students will need this and the market is driven by putting this in our syllabus itself. There are a lot of assumptions. Generally, in our decision making, assumptions are done. So with more information you have, your assumptions become more accurate. So you do more research, you speak to more people, the accuracy of your assumptions and decision making become more accurate. However, never will it ever become 100% true or accurate itself. So when we look into predictions itself, when we look into learning, teaching and learning, we look into academia, we look into education itself, there are many predictions that we need to do. What are the courses, for example, that will be demanded in the next 5 to 10 years? And why? What makes you say so? All right. There was a general aspect previously. A lot of people say, people will sure need to eat one. That is why hospitality cost, culinary cost will definitely be number one. No need to worry. You study culinary, you will never starve. People need to eat. All right. Then what happened was during the COVID times, the first industry that had the biggest impact was the tourism industry, hospitality industry, and many of people were let off. And the general assumption today is, wow, it's dangerous, man. Hospitality, tourism. First thing that people let go is that. Let's look at something else. What about the IT technology? All right. What about IT? What about the legal sector itself? Everybody needs a lawyer. So maybe that is the way we go, but maybe not. Artificial intelligence may actually replace a lot of things that these individuals actually do. So what I'm trying to say here is many of our predictions that we do may be false. And because of that, when we do those predictions and we take action regarding that, we may not be actually hitting the right target itself. Okay, so what we are going to see today is it is not for me to tell you what transformative learning is, to give you a solution. No, it is more of a general discussion of what we should see, what we should look at, and how we should actually take heed of these changes. And by taking heed of these changes, how it should impact the way that we perform or we deliver our lessons or our work itself. Okay. Now, education has become a commodity, yes, where students are outputs of a well-oiled machines. Basically, yes, students come in during the process of 3 years or 2 years. They go through various different sections, and at the end of the day, they come out as the final product itself. So we over here, our product is basically the transformation that they have with us, that 2 to 3 years. Now, what determines the product over there is basically our program learning outcome, which is driven by our program educational objectives. And for many of you who are subject lecturers or course lecturers, you have your course learning outcome. So for all of you here, you play a role, a very critical role, because every course that you teach, that you conduct, is part of a bigger picture. So they need all of these building blocks like Lego. You have many, many different pieces. And at the end of the day, you get the full structure itself. And that full structure is the program. So the students is a representation of that. All right. So when we look into the output of the student, it is them having that. And what is more important is what they can do with the skill. And what they can do with the skill is basically, you look into it, under the MQF, it will be the 5 clusters lah: knowledge, comprehension, lifelong learning, communication, interpersonal skills, and so on. So that is what they go through. So if you look at it as a machine perspective, students are the input, we are the transformation, and then finally they have the output is them itself. So we are actually molding these individuals to be what is expected for us in that mold. Now, if that mold is wrong, the output mold is wrong, then the input will be molded in the wrong way, and the output will not be wanted by the industry. So the mold, the final output is critical. We need to be sure on what is actually required and demanded by the industry itself. And this changes very gradually. However, humans are not uniform, definitely. Thus, a casting mold method will not work. That is one thing that I would like to stress, because we are all different. All your students are different. Some of your students will require different methods to ensure of the outcome itself. Some individuals, you tell them one time, they will learn, they will comprehend, they will deliver. Some students, you tell them even 3 times, they still do not comprehend. So as what we normally do, if they don't understand and you need to sing to them, then you sing to them. All right. Basically, that is how it is. All right. So in a nutshell, education has become that. All right. The output, input, the molding process. Inside the input varies. Because the input varies, we need to mold differently. We need to mold differently itself. Okay. Now, so the current emphasis for education is very much when and how. All right. When the students achieve, how do they achieve that? Now, what we need to look at is what do they achieve and whether they achieve it or not. What do they achieve and whether is different. What is the thing that they get? This is what they need to achieve. They need to achieve this thing called communication skill. Whether they achieve is basically a demonstration of that knowledge. All right, what to achieve? Communication. Whether is the demonstration. So we need to ensure that they are not only able to achieve it, but they can demonstrate their comprehension and also competency in that particular area. All right. Now, currently, I mean, in the traditional sense, it is very on the when, 3 years, how they go through class. So previously, it was always, when do they finish the degree? In 3 years. How do they finish? They go through class, they do exam, then they finish. We sometimes do not really evaluate on the what they achieve and whether they achieve. Now, this is something what the industry wants. This is what the industry wants, the what and the whether. That degree alone is supposed to be a demonstration, but if the students cannot, then it is then useless or worthless. Okay, so how then do we look into this? right? So that's where transformation comes in, transformative aspects itself. So I just want to show you this particular article that I actually got 2 days ago, and I find it very interesting. Bill Gates, AI is the most important tech advance in decades. Now, this gentleman, all of us know him, and normally I tend to follow him. Our friend is quite good lah, okay? He's quite an intelligent fella. I think I'm undercutting him. He's a very intelligent fella, and I think what he says, most of the things got sense lah. And when he comes out with a statement like this, and this is also related to what is happening in the past 3 to 4 months, we have ChatGPT, we have BART, which I'm going to emphasize later on, then I think this is something that we need to look at, where this gentleman oversays that artificial intelligence is most important tech advance in decades. So we as educators, maybe now, I don't think maybe, but I think we need to really understand how will this impact the output of the student. What is then deemed important or needed for a student today? All right, it changes a lot because artificial intelligence itself, with the dawn of it and with the immediate implementation as what we have gone through, I believe many of you here, all 23 of you here or 22 of you here, a big majority of you would have tried AI, especially the more recent ones like ChatGPT and so on, correct? How many of you have tried ChatGPT? How many of you have tried? How many of you have tried? Yes. Okay. I can see certain hands going up. Yeah, yeah. I am a big user. All right. Okay. See, I can see quite a few hands coming up. Yes, yes. So basically, we are using it already. And what do you think? What do you think? Good, bad, horrible, good? All right. Is it a blessing? For me, it's a thumbs up lah. For me, I use AI a lot. It has saved me a lot of time. Saved me a lot of time. See, I have another thumbs up over there. Impressive. Very good. Very good. Yes. Yeah. A lot of things I normally take 20 minutes. Now it takes 2 minutes. Why? I use ChatGPT and I read and I adjust according to my language, the way that I will write. But a lot of routine things are now taken over by that. So we need to accept the fact that this is what is actually happening. This is what is happening. Okay, so we need to evolve with it itself. All right. Okay. So as we go along later, we will discuss more about this. Okay. So back to the screen. Right. Now, what is transformative learning? Stems from the reality that the status quo will not be sufficient to meet the changing education needs. That is transformative learning. The current status quo definitely will not meet. I foresee that. All right. These many large organizations have already evolved, have already changed in the way of delivery, in the way of assessment, in the way of expectation of the students itself. Now, key to the challenge will be the implementation of new programs and courses, delivery modes, and also to the teaching and learning instructional methods used in the classroom. So I want to stress here is what are the key changes? Number one is implementation of new programs that are different from the traditional itself. When we look into a business course or in a computing course and so on, we need to take a step back and to see the traditional is like that. This is what was when I did it. But today, will it be then the same? What is needed by the student is totally different. All right. Now, the thing is this, many of us have done our first degree maybe 20, 30 years ago. All right. And I don't doubt that 20 to 30 years or even more. And when we did our first degree, we came out, we were educated then. So when you design your program, many of you, when you design your program, you will always fall back to something familiar. And what is familiar that you know well? Your degree. So you tend to put in things that you think was important, that was important then. So you put it in the program itself. And then when you look at it, you will smile because you will say to yourself, this worked, the outcome was me. It worked. This general program actually worked itself. It's a good program. But you mustn't forget, you may have done your degree in the mid-90s. I did mine in 97. My final year was 97. So if I'm to use the same course syllabus or the program syllabus as what I do today, The relevancy of that will nearly be not, I would say nearly, there are certain things that are still important. I believe so. Okay. Like many aspects. I still remember we used to do programming language that are even irrelevant today. All right. And so on. So this is what is happening. So when we talk about transformative learning over here, is the implementation of new programs and the demand of the programs to meet the outcome. Designing of programs in a transformative learning environment is not driven by the program. It is driven by the outcome of the student. What is required by the student itself? All right, which drives the PEO. And then finally, the PLO, the CLO, and so on. Then only you come out with the program. If you do it well and you forecasted it properly, and the program tells you that one key aspect in your program is languages, that the students need to be relevant in the future, languages. And you are going to put 3 languages in your engineering degree, then you must do it. I'm not saying going against program standard, no, program standard maintain, but then you add in another 3 languages. Let's say Mandarin, Japanese, and Italian. I'm just saying, you add that in, then you are doing justice. Why? Because you have forecasted, and this is what is required by the student in the future. All right. So the credit amount may not be 120, but 129 with the addition of the 3 languages over there. So it drives that. All right. If the demand for transformative learning states that we need students who are more mature and be able to analyze, and it would mean a reduction in examination, final examination, then you do that. You do that. You reduce final examination. You introduce more group assessments and projects and whatnot, because that is what's required for the student to be relevant. Okay, and that will eventually drive the delivery modes, how we deliver our lectures. Lecture, the word lecture there has always been one dimension, has always been one way. I talk, you listen. So maybe the whole context needs to evolve. Throw away a lecture, do blended, do flip. All right. I still remember in my university years in the late 90s, my lecturer was one of the main pioneers. She's a crazy fella, one of the main pioneers in flip. First lesson we went in, she explains to us what is the required in the course. Then immediately she gives us our coursework. And part of it is flip. Every week for the next 8 to 10 weeks, I can't remember, 8 to 10 weeks, this was in UK, one group must do one lesson. So we teach, we teach. I remember I got second week, my group, my friends and I. So we will say, bloody hell, I come and pay good money and my teacher don't need to teach. I'm doing the teaching right now. So that was my first introduction to flipped classroom. But I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I really studied. In that second chapter, I did very well. All right. Of course, the other chapters, we will listen to our friends, we will question, we will study. But it created a certain level of maturity in the student itself. Delivery modes. And today, what we are doing, we are talking about flipped classroom in our lessons in the past few years, just recently. But this is something I have experienced firsthand in the late 90s. All right, flipped classroom. After that, when you have gone through, then you know the reward. Before that, all complaints. Why la, so much work on ourselves and so on. But after that, then you see, how has that practice impacted you or me as a student in the way that I see things? The value of knowledge has now gone to a different level because the effort that I put in, the reading that I did, the research that we did. And during the 90s, guys, no Google. You know where we went to this place called library. It is a physical place with all the books, and you need to do research. All right, so you read, and that inculcated that practice and that behavior in us. Now we appreciate lah. During that time, we don't appreciate lah. But after that, you appreciate. This is called delivery modes. All right, transformative learning. We need to take not popular or decisions. That decision wasn't popular, but we need to do it as educators. Okay, we need to do it. Will it be easy? Definitely not. Then Also, the teaching and learning instructional methods. Delivery modes and instructional methods. Instructional methods is what actually happens in class, the whole structure of it itself. Maybe certain things need to evolve accordingly. All right, for us to ensure that the students meet what they are in the industry. Okay, that is what transformative learning is. Okay, so why do we need it? Basically, in a nutshell, education has evolved from where we were many years ago to where we are today. I just had a conversation this morning with a colleague of mine who actually told pertaining to certain local foreign universities. One in particular is an Australian university, foreign branch in Malaysia, who majority of their course of the program itself got no exam one. Majority, nearly all, no exam. Everything is coursework. And that institution, highly ranked in the world, not only highly ranked in the world, students on waiting list to go in. And students who graduate are also widely sought of. All right. These people are maybe progressive in the way that they think. Okay. What is the benefit? Or maybe what are the key elements of an exam? I'm not saying don't do exam, guys, all right? But if you look at assessment method, why is exam used? Examination is the most efficient method of assessment. One generic paper, give to all, everybody at the same time in the same control mechanism, all right? But is it the best method? No. All right, it is not the best method. If you want other methods that are even more effective, reading literature itself, there are many different ways. Presentations can be very good. Reports can be good. All right. One-to-one work evaluation can be very good. But why are those not done in that much depth? Because it's very difficult to evaluate. Exam easy to evaluate, easy to mark papers. You read, got the points, got the point. Students do presentation, guys. It's so difficult, you know. From a person who's been teaching this, from a person who's been doing this for many years, I even find it difficult. Sometimes when you look at the student's presentation, you see, student was good, but is it a 7 good or an 8 good? Even though you have a brilliant rubrics, there is still a lot of contention over there. Is it a 7 good or an 8 good? Or is it just a 6.5? Or maybe an 8.5 over there? So you yourself need to be very knowledgeable to be able to evaluate and then to be able to give marks to the particular presentation itself. But it is very good. All right, that method is actually good. So why is it needed? Because generally education has evolved. It has evolved leaps and bounds. Okay. And of course, the revolution itself, many of us, I mean, many of those people say that maybe we are no more even in the 4th, we are even in the 5th or 6th. Every revolution, the time is shorter and shorter and shorter. All right, it could be 80 years. Then after that, it became 40, 20, 10, and 5. So that is what is actually happening. The market demands are changing so fast. To a certain extent that I really fear. A student joins our new program. After joining the new program, graduate, that program is irrelevant. It's obsolete. Correct, right? Not correct, right? Not join, finish degree, 3 years, get paper, convocation, come out. Oh my God, I don't have the skills now. That is what's happening. So fast, so fast. Okay, so fast. Right? So that is something that this is why we really need to look at transformative in a way. Okay. The job landscape, this is something in basic report 2022, job landscape, what is declining and what is also emerging as critical aspects or areas, all right, where students need to, what is actually required. The reason why I put this over here, I maintain this, so this is their forecast in 2018 to 2022, okay? Now, what happened? 2018 was before COVID. Okay, I think many of you can remember 18 March 2020. 18 March 2020 is a day of infamy, where it was very much the global lockdown and how it has changed the mindset of many individuals. And you think about it, guys, it's already 3 years. It's really 3 years that we have gone through that. Okay, major. So in 2018, they forecast for 2020, and they say this lah, emerging this. After 2020 itself, how he has changed. If you look into this, many of these may not carry weight anymore because it has changed so fast. In 18, they forecasted 2020. This is what's going to be. But in 2022, sorry, this is what's going to be. But in 2020, something shook the way that we thought. And immediately, things change again. All right? And recently, again, in the past 3 to 5 months, or 3 to 6 months, in the past 3 to 6 months, something even shook. AI has been in for many, many years. Many years, AI has been there. But never has it been so accessible, so easy to use. All right? Until it is today. It is so easy to use. It has been there for many years, but the ease of usage now becomes accessible to the wider population. So I foresee another shift, generally another shift. So for all of you who are running programs, who are teaching courses, or who are leaders in your own programs, program leaders, ADHs, heads of schools, maybe it is time to not only do the yearly curriculum review, but it could be a curriculum review done every 6 months. Doesn't mean you change every 6 months, but maybe you need to be abreast with what is actually happening because things are going so fast. Things are going so fast. Is it realistic to change every 6 months? I'm telling you, no. Every time we change, there's a new batch, new dividend. It's crazy. So we need to now decide. How do we supersede every 6 months change by forecasting and transforming into something that the students will be relevant in the next 5 to 10 years? Can we be totally accurate? No, like how our first test we did. Many of us thought he was a librarian. But we can reduce the risk with knowledge, with information that we have. Okay. So basic skills outlook, future report again, similar report. So this is what are the skills that they say, analytical thinking. Yeah, generally, right, not blah, 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 and so on. The World Economic Forum then in 2021, this is World Economic Forum in 2018. This is what they forecasted. But in 2021, they came up with the jobs of tomorrow. And this was after the COVID. So suddenly, it shook them lah. Oh my God. Actually, what we forecasted 2018, tak ngam, not June already. So now things change. So they came up with the jobs of tomorrow. So this is the key jobs. This is World Economic Forum coming up. Guys, this is the way it's going to grow. This is how it is. Businesses will focus on upgrading their worker skill to stay competitive. Because COVID impacted competency. We thought we were competent. We thought we were high and mighty with our masters, with our degrees, with our doctorates and whatever. When COVID hit us, all of us went down to a level playing field. We knew that we were all incompetent in many things. All right. So basically, companies are doing that, upgrading their worker skills to be competitive. 2, tech-related cloud, blockchain, blockchain analysts, investigators, and so on. Key aspect. This is what's actually happening. All right. What we see today. 3, 2025, analytical thinking, creative, and flexibility among the most sought after skill. I want to highlight this thing called flexibility. Flexibility. Taking accounts, you may be an ACCA student, but you need to know marketing also. Gone are the days, being accountant, sit behind the desk. Now, being accountant, must go and see client also, you know. Everything is on finance, is on money, is on this and that. Wait, let me check the our group over here. Who's our group members today? Oh, very good. Okay. Now, why am I checking the group? I want to make sure got no big boss over here. As you know, my role in the past few months have evolved, right? Not. So, same thing lah. Now, I need to look at numbers. Numbers. It's a numbers game. It's a marketing game. Okay, it's a marketing game. All right, not teaching quality, fine, good, well enough. Good program, well, good. But if you got no student, what's the point of teaching quality? Correct, right? So now my main headache is not about how am I going to develop my colleagues, all of you, to be good, strong, is how am I going to get revenue for the organization? That's what's happening. Private organizations. Now you may say, yeah, this is private only. You go to public university, no need. No, 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 no. Public university are also looking at private arm. Why? Government grants going down. Government income going down. Government not giving them enough. So for them to sustain, they need to go private. have their private arm. All right. And what are they doing? They have the expertise over there. Their price are very competitive. All right. So they have to do it also. So it is a numbers games, guys. The reality is that. Okay. So flexibility changes. Okay. For many years, I'm an educator. Now I'm an educator, charm marketer. And I'm not denying the fact that in the next few years is going to be marketer, charm, educator. You see now, you see how the role evolves, and I need to be flexible. If I am not flexible, it's going to be sayonara game. All right, that's it, go. Why? They need to find a person that will be competent to do that. Because if the role is not taken by a person who is competent, then what's going to happen? The organization will fall. So that is how it is. 4, socially conscious and environmentally responsible society. This is something. During the COVID, it has actually shocked many individuals about the realities of the world that we are in. The green environment, health, family, self-individual time. So this care and green economy is something that, based on World Economic Forum in 2021, will be the jobs for tomorrow. Something that is related to, that means it can be you're teaching, but also you need to emphasize on being socially conscious, and also the environment itself, and matters in that general sphere. All right, in that general sphere itself. Next, content creation, social media management, content writing. All right, definitely. And of course, remote work is here to stay. With the dawn of technology, what happened during the COVID itself, it expedited the adaptation of us for the virtual world. All right, all right. Most of my trainings now are done virtually. You see me, I don't see you because I'm still, if it's my class, if I'm teaching students, all of them compulsory on video. But for you all, my colleagues, okay lah, okay, because I know you are there, right? Or some of you are just logged in but not there. Alicia, are you there? See, she disappeared already. All right. Anyway, so basically, that is how it is. Okay, remote work is here. So if you look into the jobs of tomorrow versus what was forecasted in 2018, it has changed. It has evolved because one thing only shook everything itself. So if the jobs of tomorrow has evolved, how then does it affect us? Aren't we the purveyor of workers for the jobs of tomorrow? Ask yourself, do our programs ready our students for socially conscious and environmentally responsible society? What about, do our program encourage analytical thinking, creativity, and flexibility? You see, I'm just choosing these two. All right, these two. Or do our program encourage students to be adaptable to work in different environments or different situations? Ask yourself lah. That is what transformative learning is lah. Why? We no need to guess. These people do homework for us already. Okay, they do homework for us. Now, this is 2021. It's 2023 now. End of this year, UN, WHO, World Economic Forum, they will do their research again. And will it be still the same? Maybe not. Because now, with artificial intelligence taking a bigger grip of things, the jobs for tomorrow may be different. It may be just one word over here and they say, you are screwed because AI will take your job. Correct, right? that is where we need to accept the fact, the jobs. This is what is actually happening. Okay. Now, so future report, they say that in 2022, everyone needs at least 101 days of learning. All right. And the gig economy will be something that will grow. And it is still growing today. All right. Even in today's environment, what we see, general scope of the gig economy. Why? Because individuals feel the importance of value, importance of what is then important to them. I still remember last semester when I was teaching my class, I spoke to my class, I told them, because they were early childhood students. So they were going out to work in the nurseries and whatnot. These are senior students. So I told them, hey guys, in this working environment, I'll give you a situation. What if the company gives you 2005 and you work for 5 days a week? And another company gives you 3000, but you work 6 days a week. Which one will you choose? All but one in my class chose the 2005, 5 days a week. Yes. I said, why? Sir, my own time more important. Then I prodded more. Hey, you not so worried about your future, man? You're not so worried about saving, man? You're not so worried about starting a family, man? You know, you're not so worried about your livelihood, man? Man, not there, lah. I just say for fun, lah, okay? The students answer back, sir, my house, mother, father, me. The house is mine already. No need to buy house. Then I think, true. One kid, ma. No need to worry. Okay. Then it actually changed my whole perception about what is value for them. General students, the value context here, the value important. Last time I remember when we were working, or when I started my career, immediately finish my diploma, the next day go and work. During the diploma final year, final semester, already go interview. Why? Parents already say, the day that you graduate, the day allowance cut, have to find a job. Okay, have to find a job. So that's what we did. Value. Overtime, begging boss, give overtime lah. I want to work longer lah. Why? Because for me, for many of us in the hotel industry during that time was, income was basically required, basic income for you to survive. Rent, I stayed on my own rent, food, transport. Any overtime are called luxuries. You can buy that extra because of those overtime. So that was our value contention over there. Okay, now it's different. So we cannot fault our students for not being motivated sometimes. All right, we cannot, because that is the changing aspect of them. All right, so what do they actually need? That is where the big question comes in. So we as transformative teachers or educators, we really need to understand what is it that is key and important to them. Okay. Baik. Mau sudah hilang. Young people need skills and experience for jobs of the future, not the past. Yeah, it's the future. All right. So we need to focus. We need to know what is demanded, and from there transform ourselves to ensure that they will be able to be competent. Okay, so certain basic things which I like to show this, especially this, of course, 100-year life for us Malaysians, not yet. Now it is 76, if I'm not wrong. But if you consider during our independence, if I'm not wrong, don't quote me, I believe it was like 57 or 58 or something like that. Just below 60. And then yearly, it slowly went up. Why? Medicine became more accessible. It became better quality. Birth rates were actually higher. All right. Baby mortality lower. So there are many aspects to it. Will we reach 100? Maybe, technology is such. But these are things that we need to consider. Okay. So this is what is actually happening. So we need to understand our target audience, which are our students itself, those that actually come to us. All right. Are we transforming them correctly? All right. And of course, this I can never discount the fact over in Malaysia itself, there are so many players. So I need to always touch on the marketing side. Why do we need to be progressive? Because if we don't do it, our competitors will do. Our competitors will do, guys, and our competitors are very aggressive. Now, we are playing on a field, but some of them have better shoes. Some of them are more well trained. Some of them have personal trainers. Just picture this: you're on the field, you are playing sports, but certain of the other competitors that are competing with you have different tools, have different trainings, have different budgets, and so on. But the field is the same. All right. So because of that, they have an edge. Right? They have an edge. And look at these guys, how many players are there? Now, this is in 2019. However, the most recent stats that I got in 2022, it didn't differ much. Of course, we had the polytechnics and so on, but it did not. And if you look at the number of players that there are, public universities 20, private 467, you add them together, we are looking at nearly 500. And that is a very big number compared to the population that we have. Compared to every year, how many SPM students that we are churning. Every year, on an average, 500,000 SPM students we are churning out. 500,000. Not all of them go to higher education. All right, not all of them. So even if you divide it as half, which is already very positive in the way of thought, 250,000, which is not, is actually lower than that. The public universities already take the bulk of it every year. Okay, then it will then be scattered to the other private institutions. So the competitive environment is there, and not only is it there, it's very dog eat dog. All right, and for many of you who go out to do education fairs, you would know. All right, we give 500 discount, our competitor will give 700. And if you want to have a differentiating factor, not much lah, because we are MQA full accreditation. They also MQA full accreditation. Are we going to say they are any worse than us? No, MQA already gave them the FA. All right. So then that is where it becomes very challenging over there. So if you look into our environment itself, our main players, can I just ask you all over here? You can put it in the chat. When we talk about innovative institution, innovation itself, very, very innovative. Who is the main player? Who do you think is an innovative private institution? Our competitor, who? Who do you think? Put lah, don't be shy. Siapa? Very progressive, innovative, dare to change. Put it in the chat. Come on, guys. Jangan malu. Help. UITM. Lim Kok Wing. Betul ke? Marketing BAC. Okay, yes. BAC sponsor premiership. Oh, yo. Program Sunway. Okay. Dr. Siti Hajar. No need to rumors. Say tailors. You put them out. Tailors. Yes. Very innovative. They dare to do. BAC Sunway. Very good, Valen. Very innovative. Very progressive. Dare to change immediately. Are they successful all? No. But they dare try. They dare try. Some of them, see, the thing about being transformative is you cannot be 100% accurate. So you try lah, but you must dare to do. You must dare to try. Very good. Later, I will show you one institution. Okay. So the future of higher education in a disruptive world. We are currently in a very disruptive world. So when you talk about the future of higher education, where we are, there are three elements over here. I took the key points here from PwC's report. PwC's report. All right. Now, so there are three here. One, end of a golden age of universities. That's the end. Two, disruption is underway in higher education. And three, transforming and optimizing universities. Let's look at it. Okay, let's look at it. So the first one, end of a golden age of universities. Universities, we used to be on this pinnacle, a pinnacle. We always think that we all are the purveyors of knowledge. We are the seafood. We are the one and the only and the final avenue for knowledge. That is what universities are. Dulu, when you know you are the cikgu, I still remember during my time, I go back, I tell my mother, Mommy, I got caned by my teacher. She gives me extra 2 wax because the teacher is never wrong. I don't know whether you guys remember that or not, that kind of environment. Cikgu is, oh, itu cikgu. Wow, cikgu was highly regarded. So this is what is actually happening. End of a golden age of universities. Why? Number one, rising tuition fees. Two, spiraling student debt, escalating administrative costs, doubts about higher education's return on investment. So when the first one we look at it is a declining value, soaring student debt. Education is not cheap. And I believe some of you have read the report. I believe it was published 2 to 3 years ago, where they said that 75% of a lot of SPM grads don't want to study, don't want to do future, don't want to go for future or continue their education. They want to go and work. Why? Because if you look at Grab, you look at these people, doing delivery and whatnot, they can make 3,000. Let's say I'm just plucking a figure that's roughly maybe around 3,000. It could be more. I've heard of much more, or it could be less if you don't want to go out, but roughly 4,000. And then they hear friends who just completed their engineering degree, join a company, have to work 5 days a week or maybe 6 days a week, 2,000 ringgit. So they put 2 and 2 together. To get the engineering degree, I need to invest. To do this, I no need to do it so much. Get the motorbike, I can do delivery. Look at the rewards. Now, am I saying that they are right? No, they never look at the long term. Okay, the long term is called compounded rewards. It's like put money in fixed deposit, compounded. The degree will compound many things. It should compound. All right. But they don't see that because they are also thinking, I want to study my degree now. There's a risk factor. When you study, it's an investment. So it's a risk factor. Not everybody who did a degree is successful. Not everybody who had a master's or a PhD are successful. All right. So this is a risk factor. And when there is risk, there is reward, or you could lose everything. And when you do a degree, you do formal education, there is no guarantee that you will succeed in completing that degree itself. There are chances, high chance, that you may halfway through a year or two feel that that is not what you want and you leave. So your investment that you have put in is gone. Number one. Two, spiraling costs but limited funding. Universities, our costs going up. Cost is crazy, okay? But funding itself, for us, we got no government funding. So it's private funding. And one thing that's impacting us is student numbers. Student numbers. All right. I think this is this information is very clear. We are looking at roughly around 3,000 students across the board. 3,000, maybe 3,500 students across all entities. And that is not a big number compared to what we can have over here. Glen Marie itself, our campus here, was built to be able to accommodate 7,500, 8,000 students easily. All right. Now we are not even 30 to 40%. All right. So the cost has gone up. And it is not cheap to run institutions. Okay. Three, digital competition. Depending on the region of the world, e-learning is expected to enjoy a compounded annual growth rate of 7.5 to 10.5% between 18 to 22. E-learning. People are now thinking, maybe I no need to go to the traditional pathway. Let's go to the alternate pathway. What is alternate? Micro-credentials. Okay. ODLs, open distance learning. All right, open distance learning, because that is what it is. Now, let me tell you this, guys. The day that the industry puts equal recognition to online learning and to physical traditional learning is the day that we cry. Currently, there is still a difference in expectation. Even certain countries, if you do a online degree and a actual face-to-face degree, the recognition is also different. More traditional countries. But a lot of companies and also countries are beginning to recognize this kind of qualification. So now we need to be careful over here. If the industry recognizes, then they put on equal par those with a virtual qualification and those with a traditional qualification. Then what differs? These two will be the experience of it itself. Virtual qualifications allow the person who is doing those qualifications to have flexibility on time and to have other commitments being taken care of versus a very traditional aspect. So once that is on par, then we need to really worry. All right, so that is it. And of course, at the end of the golden age of universities, I put there is AI, artificial intelligence. All right. AI is going to rock us top to bottom, which I just put this one here. The main difference now, many of you know ChatGPT and some of you have already started reading about BART. All right. I'm hoping to get BART, but I know now that it is only at its testing stage in 2 countries, United Kingdom and also US. Once it comes out, I think I'll be the first person in there to actually try it. Now, what we see here is many people say, guys, no need to worry so much about AI. No need to worry so much because at the moment, ChatGPT is only extracting data that is given to them. Is given to them, and that is basically data sourced at the end of 2021. Okay, so ChatGPT is basically sourcing for data in a particular box, and that box or that storage is information that has been input by the owner. Okay, OpenAI they put in, and that is until 2021. But that was previously lah. Now it is already at its 4th iteration. ChatGPT is its 4th iteration already, and it is evolving. Oh my God. Okay, so I'll put that aside because a lot of us use it, but it's a little bit different. But it's at its testing stage. It is still using that, but it is designed and it is planned to source information from the internet. So once it goes live to that as per requirement and it source information from the internet, ladies and gentlemen, the whole world will totally change. Education will change. Our role will change. All right. Why? When that happens, guys, that is why I put that statement at the bottom here. Educators, academics will need to change the way they conduct. Conduct what? Conduct the way we conduct classes or the way we work. From the source of knowledge, we cannot be the source of knowledge anymore, to educating students on how to attain knowledge. Okay, so that is something which I foresee. We cannot be the source of knowledge. So I used to be a marketing lecturer in the hospitality school. So as a marketing lecturer, I follow a syllabus. And in that syllabus is very clear. I need to teach marketing mix. I need to teach external environment. I need to teach pricing and so on. To teach is to educate. Now, with AI, that will be done. All right, that will be done. It is for us, I foresee, is for us to be, what we need to do as educators is to educate our students how to attain this knowledge. That means we need to partner AI. We need to work with AI. Okay, because you cannot be in one of those katak bawah tempurung and say, no, I do not want, I shy away from this kind of thing. No, cannot. You need to accept it, but you need to work with it. And by working with it, we need to understand that the demand of the students, the skill that the students need may not directly relate to the teaching them the knowledge. It is applying the knowledge. How do they apply the knowledge? And teach them how to source for the correct knowledge, the sourcing of the knowledge itself. Which brings me back to 97 when I was doing my degree overseas and how my lecturer introduced me to flipped classroom, how we attain that knowledge. And from there, we appreciate it. Because if you're just going to teach in a traditional sense, students will say, sir, everything is already online. Everything is there. All right. Okay. So this is where it goes. Now, we also need to understand that students come in different knowledge levels. Some are very high in comprehension. Some are a little bit lower. Those that are high, those that are the real good ones, the more progressive one would have done their own reading, will already read, will already understand the theories and the concepts. Now, in many top universities, out of 10 students, maybe 8 of them will be like that. Those that you tell them, do your reading, they will do reading and they will come into class. But for us, many of our students may not be that. All right. Okay. So how then, when we look into this, how do we transcend? How do we then impact our student to be able to attain? Okay. Because the key skill here that is required, we need to now make, okay, I need to rephrase or put a caveat in my statement. We need to, in a way, evolve to understand that what skills the students need now is the adaptability and flexibility skill to attain this knowledge, because knowledge now is so easy. So easy. Previously, we used to go to the libraries. Then there was search engines. Then there were Wikipedia that you still need to read and then rephrase on your own, rewrite into your own aspect and understand and comprehend. Now with AI, it assists us in comprehension. See, the comprehension part is really assisted. So it is our role to teach students how to attain this, what is legitimate information, what is correct information, and how to use it in the correct environment and context. That is what I see. That is what I see. So like for me, I'm a strong believer of we cannot hide. We need to adapt. We need to embrace this technology itself. Okay. So it's already 10 a.m. All right. What I'll do is take a 10-minute break. All right. Take a 10-minute break, run to the loo, have a drink or whatever, and we'll come back at 10:10 to continue. All right. Good. Following? Great. Good. All right. All right, guys. Hmm. Someone muted me. All right. It's better for me to not be muted so that I can be heard. All right. Can you hear me good? Okay, good. Thanks. All right. We have to continue. So as we have gone through the first aspect over there, the second one is pertaining to the disruption is underway in higher education. There is very much a big disruption in higher education itself, and we as part of the players need to be ready and to adapt to it. Key points here will be the fourth industrial revolution, where technology is key. All right, so regardless of which line that you are in or which discipline that you are educators of, it is important for us to ready students for this kind of environment. All right, this kind of environment. So one key aspect which I'm going to link on the fourth industrial revolution, and I'm going to touch also a little later on the demographic changes. General key demographic is also very much evolving. Families are getting smaller. Certain groups are also getting less if you're looking in our country. And when this happens, what we see is the students, the whole aspect of the student itself also becomes different. All right. One good example I can give is this. For many of you, I think you have also experienced this before. You are taking a lift in college here, maybe from lower ground or maybe on the ground floor till into your floor. There is a student inside there, or maybe two students standing across each other in the lift. You as a teacher, you walk in. Many a times the students get a little bit uncomfortable, and what is the first thing they do? They take out their mobile phone. They take out their mobile phone and as if they are checking something very important. All right. It's a distracting element or a distracting factor. All right. So we need to understand that this is it. I come from a generation that when I go into the lift, if possible, I will smile. Hi, good afternoon, good morning, kind of thing. Many a times when I do that now in this general environment, even in my house, I stay in an apartment. So when I go up to my floor, I go in, I smile a bit high, people get worried. Straight away, they get shocked. Why is this guy talking to me? All right. So these kind of things, we need to understand this group, this demographic change that is also happening. All right. The demographic change impacts the social, the personal, and the behavioral element that is this kind of students itself. All right. So this change, so we also need to look at it. The mobile phone becomes their portal to a new world. The mobile phone becomes like a portal to them. All right. Many a times you have gone through, you have seen families having dinners, family dinners, and the kids are on the phone. Not only the kids, many a times the parents are also on the phone and they're sitting together. All right. It has been made into numerous jokes and comics in our newspaper and whatnot. But this is true. And we are not saying that our line, our tradition, or our time where we communicate in the open manner is the correct way. We are not saying that, but maybe that is the evolution of how things or communication is. All right. So when we talk about communication skills today, maybe more emphasis will need to be placed on communicating using gadgets and equipment. All right. So the general element to say that, see, these young people do not know how to talk. Do not know how to talk is true, but they still can communicate. Because what is the main purpose? Talking is to ensure communication takes place. So now they're communicating with a different medium and with a different tool. How yet they are still communicating. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to stress over here. It's important for us to also take a step back, all right, to see what is actually happening and accept those changes itself, right? There is, of course, over in the United States, there's a declining domestic enrollment for local students. That is why there's a large reliance on international numbers, which is also true to us. Domestic numbers are not big because our general, as I told you, every year, 500,000 students complete their SPM and a few thousand more on O levels and whatnot. However, the majority may not or are not going into, and the players are many. There are many private institutional players. So we are also looking at the international numbers, the international market. And this is also very true. Okay. And how do we ensure that we are able to tap this international market itself? Okay, so here I want to stress basically on demographics. So when we talk about transformative learning, we talk about being transformative, being adapting itself. It is important for us also to see who are our local demographics over there. Now, these are basic statistics that I actually took it from Jabatan Statistics or something like that. If you look into 57, 70, 80, 91, and so on. The numbers were small, but the general percentage, as you can see, the difference in percentage over there, how certain groups target, certain groups numbers are also generally shrinking. So we as a private educator, private institutional educator, we may want to take a big picture. Are we targeting the wrong people? How are we targeting? Maybe now, as you can see, general population of the Malays are higher. So we need to be realistic. All right. And how do we then target that? How do we look into that general aspect itself? Yes, the percentage may have gone down, but of course, the numbers per numbers are large. But because it is divided by the big picture or the big pie itself, you will see that it is actually a very big challenge for us to ensure that we get the correct target. Okay, so when we look into demographics part as educators, maybe do we need to structure our program? If our program, how then? Now, but our program is decided by what is expected of the student. All right, so it is the outcome itself. So does the market want something different due to the demographic shift that we are experiencing in our country? Will the market want something different? Okay, demographic shift lah. Okay, so what does the market want? Are we able to continually bring in foreign labor to assist us if there are not enough local or domestic labor to take care of that particular role itself? All right, so how then we as educators or education institution be ready to be able to churn out the correct individuals? Okay, so demographic, big, very, very big things. The most simple one, easiest to find data, all right? And it can have actually an impact to us on how do we actually target our market. Okay? Age of customer demands, personalized education. So what we see now is here and beyond, a lot of our customers want personalized education, education that is personalized to them. Personalized education means choosing things which meet their demand, which meets their want itself. Okay, so this is where if you look into things such as like micro credentials, why is this thing called micro credentials so popular? And it's something that we are also doing it. We will be launching our micro credentials site, I think in another 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks time, something which I'm not saying we are going to make millions out of it, but it's something that we really need to look into because the market is such that we may need to evolve to a certain extent on how we bring in students. Okay, many students today want short, one in a way customized programs and courses to meet their individual needs. All right. So these are certain avenues that we are looking at over there. Now, it is a trying thing in such that the market is already many players. There are many, many players inside there. And the general aspect of the market, which is a little bit negative to us, is many people assume that anything online must be free. Okay, must be free. It's like news. Okay, so they, oh, now things are so easy. We don't need to buy newspaper. Last time every day I need to spend one ringgit 50 cent to buy the Star newspaper, 120. Now no need. Now go online, you get already. So there is this general assumption and this general practice that people think that information or knowledge is free. So that is why we can't really charge much towards this. Which, as you know, many of you know, it is not the case. They may not charge you financially in direct charging to you, but in a more subtle manner, you are actually paying for it. It could be advertising, it could be many different aspects that you are actually paying. Eyeball movement on the screen and so on. All right. So there is aspects to it. But this is something which is very much a reality that we need to consider. We need to look at this, how the personalized education is something that we really need to consider, because once the recognition is there by the large organizations, then why not? Which brings me to something which I think it was roughly around nearly 8 to 9 years ago. I was at a conference, and at that particular conference, the HR director of Maybank was there. Dato, what's her name again? I can't remember. Very prominent lady, speaks very well, very much a lot of sense that she actually speaks about. And something that when she spoke during that time actually opened my eyes a little bit of what the industry is. Maybank is a big bank in Malaysia. And basically what she said was having a first-class degree doesn't mean you're a good worker. So what Maybank does is Maybank has entry requirements. It must be a degree. However, they didn't stress must be a first class. So if you have a third class or you have a second lower or whatever, you apply, they will call you in for an interview and they will speak to you. Then from there, they will ascertain how suitable are you. They may give you a try, and at the end of the day, you will excel. So they give these individuals a level playing field. All right. So what it means now is this. Large organization deals 8 years ago, like Maybank already see. Degree first class doesn't mean good. All right. Maybe they need people who don't have the first class. People who are first class degree holders will exhibit a particular character, which may not be suitable for their line. All right. You see where am I going? So they have a wide spectrum. They will pick, they will work. So at the end of 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, the top staff or the best a colleague, maybe a person who came in with a third class degree. All right. And that is besides the point, because it is at the end of the day, it is not the degree that you have, but the ability of you to use whatever skills and abilities to demonstrate in your working environment and to excel. And if this person excels, all and good. All right. So this is what it is. And that is going, this is what we are seeing. Okay, just having a degree is so that is only a very initial stage of accepting the norm or going against the norm. The norm always states first class better than second class upper better than second class lower better than third class. So this is going off a little bit, and that was 8 years ago. Today, I believe many organizations have gone leaps and bounds, leaps and bounds, leaps and bounds. Okay. So also, we also need to look into this general aspect over here. Student experience, SX over there, a basic equation is students experience, student's experience means the whole duration that person have with you is equated as the customer experience, which adds in learner experience and personalized experience. All right. So we need to put in few different aspects over here. The which is the customer experience, all right? The student is a customer, which adds in learner. As a learner, you learn, you go to class, you learn. The experience of learning itself. And personalized experience, the ability for you to accustom or even customize the way that you learn. So this is something, I didn't do this, taken from PwC. I like it because it emphasizes on the personalized experience over here. This is what customers are looking at. This is what students are looking at. Students want to learn. However, they may want to learn on their own terms because many of them may be working. All right, some of them are working. So learning on their own terms doesn't mean telling you, sir, I don't want to do exam. It may mean that, sir, I cannot go for your class. I only can come in the evening because I'm working. I need to take care of my family. I need to survive. All right, so this is the personalized experience. Personalized experience taking to a next level can also mean that the way that the student learn varies, all right, varies in the way that they learn, but they achieve the same goal. Okay, so at the end of the day, when we look into us as educators, we need to step back from the more traditional aspect of I go to class, I teach, student pass exam, yay, they get degree. We need to look at it from the output point of view. The output point of view is student must be competent, must be relevant in the sector, in the industry. Okay, that is what we want. Students who are relevant. Go out, good people, don't rob bank, don't steal, can work, so and so, blah, 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 and whatnot. This is what we want. So the input is here, students coming in, all right? And as we said earlier on, students come in many different types. Currently, it is one method, come to class. Transformative learning for the future, I'm not saying doing it now, for the future with technology, with AI, we may need to look at the middle part, the transformation part, that 3 years degree that we have stated. How they attain the aspect over there will be personalized to individual students itself. Personalized. Which brings me to another story. Few years ago, and this one I think Hazim can remember, I went down with Hazim to International Medical University as a visit to their teaching and learning center. We teaching learning center, they teaching and learning center, we learn from each other. So I went over there. I wanted to learn from them because IMU, oh, beautiful, sweet, man, I tell you. Everything very nice. So we went over there. I saw their things very good. So I asked the question to their T&L head lah. Okay, my counterpart over there is, hey, are you looking at customized or personalized assessment? They say yes. Looking at that, but very difficult because Malaysian regulation makes it difficult. But outcome can do, but Malaysian regulation difficult. What is personalized assessment is this, is we look at the outcome. What must they achieve? Now, if you read your outcome, your CLOs, the outcome did not state student must achieve this through an examination. The outcome states student must achieve this. How they achieve it is different. Why? Because remember I explained, or I did state that all of us go in differently. I am different from Evelyn, I am different from Hannalisa, from Sheila, and so on. We are all different. But the outcome must be the same lah. We need to demonstrate that ability. Because we are different and we are using one unifying tool. Sometimes not fair, lor. Because certain people are good in writing. Certain people can BS all the way one. Certain people have photographic memory. Now, if your exam, your LO is, we want to test students' photographic memory on replicating word for word what was in this literature or this particular book, fine, you do an exam. Okay, students, replicate page 62, paragraph 5 to paragraph 9. Then it's memory lah. But are our exams like that? No. Our exams, ability to achieve this and so on and whatnot. But we do exams. Why? Sometimes it is state program standard. PS say must do exam. Then sometimes you read, PS don't say exam. Right now, I said for some of you, do you remember Tuan Haji? Tuan Haji was, I would say, my seafood on OBE. So how many of you met Tuan Haji? Remember he came for do the training? I think some of you may have actually sat into his class. Ada? Tak ada? Anyway, this guy, UITM lecturer, very good. Few times we already called him. He's the one that do OBE before I took over. So he's the one that tutored me. We discussed, we challenged, and he told me, yeah, do you know assessment no fix one, you know. Then I said, oh, no fix memang no fix. Then I said, the officers come, they always say fix ma. No, shouldn't be fixed. It's different ma. And contact time also different. All right, it doesn't, that means a 3 credit subject, he said you can have 20 hours face-to-face in, and you can justify it. It's good already. But yang penting, outcome-based mah. OBE states it is the outcome-based. So is this lah. So now we need to understand, oh, ini mouse sudah mati. Okay, so personalized experience is the same. Students' experience is the outcome. Okay, so now, when can we achieve this? When? Bila. All right, not yet lah. Not yet at the moment. Okay, because it requires thought. It requires a lot of customization. It requires the use of technology. Okay, which brings me, see, sometimes I drift a little bit. I was telling you about the IMU one right now. So I spoke to the gentleman, are you doing customized? They say yes. So they are actually structuring their assessment, the final assessment. They are thinking, doing research that Let's say we got a final assessment, it's an exam. In this class of 20 students, this exam, for all 20, 2 students can opt out not to do exam. Why? Because their character is different. Their whole person is different. They won't excel in exam, but they're good in something else. So it's coming up with a different assessment method to assess these two on the same LO. It's difficult. It's very difficult. Very difficult. Because you are doing 2 different mechanisms and you want the same outcome. But can it be done? Can. Literature already say can. You do reading, can. Is it very time consuming, very difficult? Yes, because a lot of bukti, a lot of justification that needs to be done. So because there's a lot of work, a lot of justification, what do? As humans, take the easy way out lah. What's the easy way out? Exam. Exam is easy. Exam is very easy. Easiest method of assessment, exam. Okay, you said. All right. Now, with artificial intelligence coming in, with technology coming in, I foresee this can be more a reality. Maybe not today, not tomorrow, maybe 6 months down the road, maybe 1 year down the road. But with what is happening, I foresee it to be quite fast. Personalized experience. At the end of the day, guys, remember, students can be good students without going to your class. It's the outcome that is important. Okay. That in recent years, there's been talk in the sector about blended and flexible learning, but the reality has been that online resources have supplemented the dominant mode of delivery, which was synchronous and in person. So we talk about blended and so on, but it has always been a supplement. All right, we are talking about online being a supplement. So what has actually happened is spurred by the pandemic. In the reverse situation, courses will be designed to be delivered through technology, digital first, and supplemented by face-to-face human support. So because of the pandemic, what has actually happened, many institutions started looking at the digital first. Let's do it as digital, and then it is supplemented with face-to-face. In reflect to previously, what we used to do is face-to-face, supplement with digital. So now it's the other way. Okay, now it's the other way. Which brings me to another story over here. We have our monthly blended meeting discussions with our partners over in Australia and so on. So when we were talking about it, one key aspect that came to our mind was a lot of students want to go back face-to-face. I was saying that our students a lot want to go back face-to-face. Hong Kong also was saying, yeah, a lot of students want to go back face-to-face. But then over in Australia, they say ours is a little bit half and half. A lot of students don't want face-to-face. All right, they like virtual. Then as you prod more a little bit with a little bit more reading, it could be a lot of their local students are working. A lot of their local students are maybe matured students who are actually also working part-time. So because of that, the situation is different. 99% of our students are full-time students. Correct, right? I think around 98 to 99% are full-time students. So what do? They come, they want the class, they want to be taught. Whereas over in Australia, it was a little bit different. Whereas in Australia, the local students, majority had to work. They work. They do part-time work and so on. So the online environment of learning, that flexibility was beneficial to them. They can make money, they can survive, and yet study. Previously, when it was full-time, they had to sacrifice one over the other. All right. So when we were asking about Hong Kong students prefer face-to-face. Why? Then we investigated. Majority are full-time students. So you see, that is how it is. So when we talk about flexibility over here, sometimes the reason why some of you may think, hey, but in our context over here in Malaysia, students no need flexibility. Just give them what? Maybe because in our context, our students are full-time students. For many of you who have done your studies overseas or even Malaysia and whatnot in universities and whatnot, you may have experienced in public universities that a lot of your friends were actually working part-time to survive. I know that for a case, when I was a full-time student overseas, my classmates who were locals, they were actually working people. Finish class, they will go to the Asda, they will go to Tesco, to work as cashiers and so on. So for them, if it was a virtual learning or flexible learning, they would be so happy. You see, so that is where a little bit change. So what about our context? What about the general aspect of learning itself? Do we see this heading towards that kind? Not so much of of not so much of working, but the recognition of self-time as very important. So if a student say that my own time is very important because I want to do streaming or I want to do blogging, I cannot go for class. So I do class in the evening. My flexibility is there and I can make money on my own. Gig economy. You see, that could be another driving force behind going transformative itself. Okay, and transformation and optimizing universities. Many higher education institutions around the world are at or fast approaching a crossroads that will define their future in terms of strategy and operating models. All right. So like as I've gone through, I'm going to use the word they to we. Do we transform? Do we need to change? Can the current situation still be relevant to ensure our students are competent? Maybe not. Do we optimize? How do we optimize our resources? Do we do nothing and react later? Or can we just say, okay, let's rest on our laurels. We do what we are doing. Current program, we just teach only. Number one, students come out, cannot find job. Then when they cannot find job, what's going to happen? They will say our program no good. No good, man. Come out, cannot find job. Or do we do nothing and face the inherent risk of inaction? Okay, inaction. We become irrelevant. Why are we becoming irrelevant? We are molding students to something that the industry doesn't want. All right. So when we look into this, transforming and optimizing universities, there are certain key aspects that needs to be looked into. Number one, borderless. World borderless. Many of you can sign up for a undergraduate or a postgraduate degree that is being held or delivered in UK without going to UK, all right? Or in the States itself. This is what it's called borderless. Gone are the days of countries crossing borders. Now it's borderless. You can learn anywhere. Coursera is one good example. All right, I have learned quite a lot from Coursera itself. And the good thing was previously, I don't know now, I think now there's a bit of a change. Previously, you can learn anything for free. Just don't get verified lah. Okay, but knowledge is such, you learn lah. Shorter courses and degrees, this is another demand. Shorter, right? People do not have the patience. People do not have the time. Even today is the same. You go out, you say that your diploma is 2 years, 4 months. Your competitor is doing the same or similar diploma for 2 years. You're going to lose students. Students now want everything fast, 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 fast. They want fast. All right. Good or not, different story. For them, they want fast. Oh, sana 2 tahun, sini 2 tahun, 4 bulan. To one, we go for the 2 years. Next, digitally native cohorts. We mustn't say our students, when they keep on looking at their phone, I tend to get irritated at that sometimes. So they're constantly looking, constantly. But we have to accept the fact that they are natives on it already. This is not something which they take in such. This is part of them. The mobile is part of them. It is their second nature. For those of you who know my office over in UG, over here, right outside my office, there are tables and chairs. Tables and chairs, all right? Where students do their work. Okay, most of the time, 9 out of 10 of the students will be sitting on their own, not communicating with each other, looking at their mobile. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Okay, all right. Is it correct? Is it right or wrong? Is it, or are we putting, if many of us say get wrong, these people do not know how to communicate. As I tell you, they are not talking, but they are communicating. They are communicating to a different environment. They are still communicating. They are getting their message through. And they're getting their message through pictures. It's called emojis. Maybe, but they're still communicating. And that could be the method of communication for the future. Okay. I wouldn't say that could be. I would say that is. So like for us, we need to adapt. Experiential learning. This is something that we need to consider. Experiential learning is learning by doing, learning by seeing, learning by feeling, learning by falling. Learning by falling means making mistakes. So this is something which institutions now are also considering. How do we integrate the best of the traditional face-to-face to, or face-to-face, or I would say coming to a university, to the experiential side? Which brings me to something which I find previously in the hotel school, we used to do it very well. It is called day release. For some of you, maybe you remember day release. Day release is where the student goes out to the industry for 1 day. All right. And I remember during that time, the culinary students went to this place that actually made processed meats, sausages, ham, bacon, and so on. So they go out to that company to work, to do practice actually in the company itself, and they learn. They learn not only about that itself, but they also learn what is the realities of doing this. And they learn about marketing, they learn about costs and so on. Because when you see how things are done, of course, many of them, after coming back, they never eat those products anymore, but that's besides the case. But they just learn. That's called a day release. That is experiential learning, where learning takes place based on how we see itself, which needs something that we want to consider. All right. Regardless of the program, regardless of the course. Last week, engineering school over in UG here brought a group of students to Port Dickson to see a power generator, if I'm not wrong. Can anybody am I correct? I don't know, any of you engineering stuff? Maybe you have been, yeah, I think it was last week, over to Port Dickson to see a power generator. Experiential learning, visitations. So that is how being more tactile, getting involved in it itself. Okay, that is something that we could also look into. Lifelong learning, all right? Continuously learning. Learning doesn't stop. So this is what we see, and it's also impacting us, where the learning of the particular individual doesn't stop with the formal qualifications that they attain, okay? It doesn't stop with just your degree and so on. It continues. And always remember, lifelong learning is not discipline related. I may be a hospitality person by training, but lifelong learning means my joy for programming may mean that I learn and I develop my programming and my computing skills, even though by discipline, by qualification, I am hospitality and tourism. So this is what it is. So we need to look at it from a more holistic, bigger aspect. Learning is not discipline related, which is very, very open. And this is very true. I was having a chat with my colleague just right in front over there. We were talking about short courses and how she was telling me that, oh, the sister actually signed up for a baking or a cooking course and pay X amount, 1,000 over for a weekly, 1 week, one-time course. So this is what we see. Like, that's lifelong learning, is interest, and they will spend. And I know individuals who will spend 500 for a 2-day photography course, which is just half day, half day. KL is very popular. 500 ringgit. 500 ringgit. You pay. Lifelong learning. There is that market over there. There is people, individuals who have their own discipline. That person can be an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever. But for them, learning doesn't stop. Some of us may call it as, it's called interest. Yes. But the interest has impacted or driven their learning. Is learning. Learning is the process of attaining new knowledge and skill. And of course, learning is important, not only attaining, but being able to demonstrate that knowledge and skill. That is the look of learning. Not only attain, you must be able to demonstrate. Okay. So something else. So this is what a lot of our colleagues, a lot of our students, all right, prospective students, or this is where we in education may need to look at. And then competing at scale, of course. Many organizations now, even small organizations, because of going online, they're able to compete with big organizations. All right, they are able to. Okay, if you're going to tell me Coursera has thousands of courses, Coursera has so many students, in my mind, it is going to be bigger than Oxford University, or it's going to be one of the biggest universities. It may not be. It may just be a building because of technology. All right, itself. And of course, lifestyle integration. All right, integrating the lifestyle of the individual into their learning itself. Remember earlier on, I was telling you which institution is innovative, and one of you said Taylor's. Well, very true. I like to acknowledge them in certain things that they do. I find they are very progressive. All right. They are our competitors, yes, but I don't shy away, nor am I embarrassed to say that I learn from them also based on what I see that they do. Okay. I like this part over here. This is Taylor's curriculum framework. Okay, I'm not saying you copy them. I just want to tell you that they are doing something good. Well done to them. Taylor's curriculum framework, they can mix modules over here. Engineering student can have free elective, Hospitality student can do free elective also. Now, what is a free elective? A free elective is this, many of us who take up an engineering course. Why? Because this is my career. I want it to be my career, engineering stable. But I always like to bake. I always like to do cooking, for example, but never had a chance. Free elective lah. You can do maybe 6 credits or something like that, that allows that person to do that. Many institutions are already doing that already. Many. They give the opportunity. Why? Because all of us as individuals, we have our different interests. We have our different interests. All right. Some of you may be accountants by profession, ACCA graduates, but heart to heart, you always wanted to know the difference between tensile strength of steel. So you may do engineering. You may do introduction to materials, for example, and that can be a free elective. You see, am I going here? And this is very progressive, because we need to understand the innate interest of every individual varies. Not all engineering students are like that. Okay lah, engineering, most of them are the same lah. Okay lah. Any engineering lecturers, engineering school, all right, they're quite focused. The others, in a way, I think you know what I'm trying to say. They have different interests and wants over there. So there's free electives. Now, I thought about it. Had a little bit of a plan. How can I do this? Every Wednesday afternoon, we have free electives. Wow, then I was thinking, mati, school will die also. Why? It's difficult. You need to have the infrastructure. If you don't have enough staff or whatnot, it can be difficult. It can be difficult, but not impossible. It can be difficult. Now, will it be difficult for us to run? Yes. Will it be beneficial to the student? Yes. Many of them may do engineering, but their calling is on baking. When they do baking courses, slowly they may have a realization, self-actualization, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, highest level. Ding! Light bulb. Maybe what I want to do is being a chef. Parents will kill us lah. Okay. Anyway, that's besides the point. But the main thing is this: complete, then they do something else. Or maybe by even being doing culinary and with his engineering background, he can integrate both of these disciplines together to be a synergy. It's a synergy that comes out with a third product. The third product, we don't know what is it lah. This is what it is. And this is basically, they have been doing it for many years. This is not new. They've been doing it. I still remember it came out in the papers many years ago. And I was looking at it and saying, bloody hell, these guys are very progressive, very good. Other universities are also doing. So I was thinking their manpower must be very good. Maybe lah, their manpower good lah. It's good. Students like that, no? Okay, now this is only one example. I do not want to overpraise my competitors lah. But let me tell you guys, there's nothing embarrassing. It's nothing to be embarrassed about learning from competitors. Nothing. We learn. We're not saying we are the best. Okay, so this is one example. You get this, guys? All right. So this is the reason why this is it, because they want to stay relevant. They know they are not doing it because it is easy to do, They are doing it because it is hard to do, but that is what the industry wants. That is what the student wants, because they accept the fact that the students are changing. Students are evolving fast. Students want variety. Students want this. Students want that. Students want this. Students want that. So they have to change accordingly. Okay. So what about our initiatives over here? Now, we understand transformative learning. We understand transformative teaching. We understand that all of this will have an impact on resources. Okay. Now, to be totally innovative and progressive, it's going to be costly. It's going to be also strenuous. Okay. And something that we know, many of you are already tied to the brim. So we have certain initiatives which are championed by, I would like to give accolades to School of Business. School of Business has been very progressive in this. Things such as like micro-credentials and also open and distance learning. All right, they are actually one of the main the individuals that push. And of course, our colleague in Penang, Michelle, she is very one that has championed and also put a lot of effort in micro credentials itself. Okay, so basically what we have over here is we have these two things which we are doing. All right, we have set it up. We have already pushed. ODL programs have already gone out. We have the master's, MBA. We also have a diploma. Okay, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. My business colleagues. All right. Then as for micro credentials, there is already, it's going to launch very soon, ladies and gentlemen. So once it comes out, go and click inside there. We have over 25 microns inside microns. All right, more than 25. You may see one title there, but inside got three or four. Very unique. All right, it's ready. Now it's a design only lah, how to make the page. Actually, it's already done already. It is called the Knowledge Hub. Over outside, it's called the Knowledge Hub. All right, it will be officially launched, and then you all will have a look at it, and then we will start pushing it as our initiative. Okay, so what is OD, open and distance learning? Refers to the provision of flexible education opportunities in terms of access and multiple modes of knowledge acquisition. So basically, ODL here allows for our programs to be converted from the traditional. Currently, what we have is conventional. UOW Malaysia I even use because we have 4 entities. We are a group of traditional or conventional institutions. A conventional institution means we offer programs that student must come to us. Over in Malaysia, there is a unique license. You are either a conventional or you are a ODL or virtual kind of institution. Open University, Wawasan, they are ODL kind of institution. We are conventional. Conventional cannot do ODL. It's like that one. Okay. However, during the pandemic, the government relaxed certain regulations and allowed us to also offer ODL. So that is what we did. We have converted some of our programs, and that is what we did. We started marketing out. So we are also marketing it overseas and so on. That is where our main catchment is. Okay. People who are overseas, they can do our master's program or whatnot. However, they may need to spend a few semesters or a semester on campus itself. Okay, so that is how it works. Okay, now more and more traditional universities are transforming from single mode to dual mode universities so this is what we see as I explained to you in a nutshell. So this statement actually says that universities are looking at that. The main key aspect is also the flexibility that our students want. Our students want a level of flexibility and so on. Now, you will see our student that currently comes to us, most of them still wants the face-to-face, as I explained to you, because they are full-time students. They are full-time. But a lot of the other universities all around the world, a lot of big universities are slowly going into this online or open kind of environment, because a lot of their students find value. Education is value, working value, family value, all of this. So when they put all of this together in a bowl, they need to decide what is most suitable for them. Our student, the critical thing is just for them to study. That is why they still want the face-to-face part. Okay. So that I foresee that changing in the near future. Okay. Okay. Now, so there are certain, I do not want to go so much into detail here. These are certain key aspects or regulations that what makes a program an ODL program. So I just want to touch on the two key parts there. A program of study is deemed as an ODL program if more than 60% of the courses offered in the program are conducted via open and distance learning. More than 60%, so you are regarded as ODL. Now, does it mean that ODL, you cannot have face-to-face? You can. So like even big institutions like Wawasan and Open, they will have the classes, everything learn online, but 1 month, maybe one time. Example, one time you must go to the learning center and do workshops or tutorial or something like that. Or maybe 1 month 2 times, or maybe 2 months 1 time or something like that. They still do. That contact is still important, that contact. Okay, so that is what is the best of both worlds. Okay, in order for the course subject to be considered as ODL course, at least 80% of the students' learning time must be delivered via open and distance mode. So it must be at least 80%. So if 30% of your student learning time is lecture, face-to-face, online, physical, not online, physical, then it is not regarded as ODL lah. Most of it must be online. Okay, so those are certain regulations that actually stipulated on what ODL is lah. Okay, now this is something that we are doing currently. It is the business school who is championing it, and then we are pushing it to different avenues. So far, I think that the take up has not been that high at the moment. MBA first intake 1 student, but slowly it will grow because we are looking at the foreign market. Foreign market has shown a lot of interest in this. Okay, they have actually shown a lot of interest, and it takes a little bit of time to build it up, and then from there you will see how it will actually spread lah. Okay, the good thing is the general economies of scale is there lah, because being online, students learn on their own. You set on certain times, everything is virtual. Resource wise can be saved in such a way. All right, so it is easy for you to manage your resources on that. Okay, now next we have is this thing called micro credentials, MCs. So you know what a credential is actually an identification of achievement. All right, micro means small. So if you're looking about it, is a small recognition of achievement. So it's micro credential. All right, so you have a credential, a recognition of achievement or recognition of such. Okay, term that encompasses various forms of certification. Sometimes they call it nano degrees, micro masters, credentials, certificates, badges, and so on. So this is UNESCO general definition. So these are called micro credentials. Now, so we also do a lot of micro credentials over here. What we do over here is we do unpacking. So we will look at a program. In individual course, official courses. Let's take marketing 101. And in marketing 101, it is 3 credits, for example. So we may divide it in the simplest form, 111, the learning outcome 1, 2, and 3, and so on. So we will create 3 different micro credentials, okay, which is actually extracted from the main course itself. So students have the opportunity to choose whichever they want. Now, when we say student for micro credentials, it is actually open to the public. All right. You can be a 12-year-old boy to sign in for nuclear biology, for example. No issue if you want to do. If that is even ever a course, okay, you can sign up. No problem. There is no age limit. There is no minimum age for micro credentials. That's the rule. However, you may sign up, you may pass. That doesn't mean you can go into that program. No, nothing. The program, you can go into the program, you can sign in, is regulated by the entry requirements of the program. It needs to be 20 years old or 18 years old with at least SPM or STPM. That one is stated. So you may pass your micro credential over there because it's your interest. That doesn't mean you're 12 years old, you can join a degree in science. Cannot. Okay, understand? Now, micro credentials are just small credentials. So the first examples I gave you was the unpacking. It can be totally built up also. I can build a 16-hour micro credential on public speaking, which is not linked to any course. Okay, so I put it in, people can learn, people can buy, and so on. It can be free or it can be charged. So there are a lot of flexibility to it. And it doesn't have to be virtual. It can be physical. I can do my 16-hour micro credential on public speaking every Saturday, 4 hours. For 4 Saturdays, you must come to campus. So you want to learn? Come. So some of you may call it a short course. Yes, it is a short course. So under the name short course is under the umbrella of micro credentials. Because at the end of the day, they will get a credential. They will learn. They may get a cert if they pay for it. All right. Or if I don't want to charge them, I will just give them a cert. So those are micro credentials. Now, why is this popular? Because micro credentials open a market to people who never had time, people who are interested in. You can do a micro credential on photography. Some of you like, good, go ahead. All right. So people who are working, they take micro credentials. And if your micro credentials are recognized by MQA, which goes through a process, then if the student actually signs up towards your program in the future, they can apply for credit transfer if they meet the requirements. So that is the benefit. That is why it encourages lifelong learning. picture this scenario, me. I enjoy computing, for example. So I'm doing micro credentials from SCCM, all right? And let's say they have a lot of I do a lot. I do already. I have 20 micro credentials. So nothing like I'm still working here, no issue. So one day I resign. Okay, get want to work already. So I gatal lah, pension already, ma. And now I want to do a diploma in computing. So with my micro credentials that is recognized, I bring this to their program leader. The program leader will look, oh, Gabe, you have already achieved this. I can give you 4 courses credit transfer. 4. 3 kali 4, 12. So now I get CT for 12 credits lah. See? So that is the benefit of it. Okay, that can be another benefit for those who want to go back to traditional. Micro-credentials, individual micro-credential can also look good in your resume and in your portfolio. You go to look for a job, then you say, oh, see, I have my postgraduate studies in hospitality. However, look at my micro credentials from Coursera. I did everything on programming. I know Python. I know this, I know that, and whatnot. You see, I have my micro credentials from Microsoft and whatnot. So now I'm going to another institution to interview for a job as teaching and learning technologies, for example. So I got my pedagogical knowledge, but tech knowledge I don't have, as technologies. So I show my micro credentials. So that company may recognize it, will recognize it. Now, as I said earlier on, companies are slowly accepting micro credentials and open distance learning programs as the norm. So those things will carry weight. Okay. So it will carry weight. Okay. So now this is where, or this is what we look at for micro credentials. Okay, guys. Any questions so far on that? Okay, because this is something which we are doing lah. We are doing, as I said, it's going to be launched very, 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 very soon. So just get ready when the corporate com comes out, click, go in and have a look. Good. And if you want to sign up lah. A lot of things are free. So inside there got free programs run by your friends. Go and sign up. Then learn something free. Any knowledge is good knowledge, as they say lah. Any knowledge is good knowledge. Okay, so this actually explains. Now, why micro-credentials, lifelong learning? We want to encourage continuous learning. It's an alternative aspect for the formal learning. You can do it at night. You can do it on your own time. You can do it after work. Coursera, I used to do that, sometimes just for fun, whenever I'm free. And then sometimes if I don't go in for so long, they will remind me, hey, you still got due or whatever. So it prods you with, this is good. But the thing about this kind of micro-credential aspect, because there's a lot of autonomy on the individual, discipline is critical. Discipline, individual discipline. Sometimes first 2 lessons, you're so gung-ho. 3rd lesson, a bit lazy. 4th lesson, you forgot. All right, it always happens. So that is where it is. There must always be the self-discipline of the individual. Access is easy, it's stackable. Remember I told you about stackable? I do a lot of micro-credentials. If it is recognized by MQA1, submitted, then at the end, when I join the program, I can get credit transfer. Okay, and it is the recognition of non-formal learning. So it can be recognized as non-formal learning when you apply through Appel. That's what I said, you get credit transfer. Now, what is a good micro-credential? It is outcome-based. At the end of the day, the participant will achieve something. It is personalized, on-demand, industry-driven, secure and shareable. So it's easy, it's secure for you to actually learn online. And of course, it's transparent. You know what you're getting yourself into. So these are certain key principles of what a good micro-credential is. Now, for those of you who have tried Coursera, Coursera is good. I like the site. I find it to be easy to use. And it is one which maybe due to its age, due to its it was one of the pioneers, then the people learned through it. For many of us, it was the first contact for micro credentials. It was the first contact. So because when things become the first contact, it becomes our benchmark, our norm. So we will always refer micro credentials to what Coursera is doing. Okay, and it is good. And there are many, many different organizations that are doing it. Harvard is also doing it, and picture this, guys, if you get micro credentials from Harvard, which employer will not want to recognize it, okay? So maybe London School of Economics, whoa, Princeton, whoa. So The recognition part, I think I cannot say for sure that everybody recognizes it, but I can safely say that it is definitely getting higher. The recognition aspect of micro credentials. So general policy for micro-credentials over in Malaysia, it is governed. Malaysia micro-credentials are actually governed. So there are a lot of things under the MQA that you need to follow if you want to do micro-credential. So I find the policies are good, even though it requires some extra work to be done if you want to convert your courses, but it is good to ensure that micro-credentials are not just Ali Along did it one. There's a certain level of quality towards it. Okay, and this is another example of age of graduation via micro-credentials. Like for normal certificate, based on current entry requirements or equivalent, it is normally 18 plus 1, so 19 years old. For micro-credential, you may go through the appel route, so it's 19 plus 1. So there are certain requirements over there, lah, all right, that you need to meet. That means you will not graduate at the same time one. You will be a little bit older, because it's supposed to cater for individuals which are working or and so on. Okay, so if you look at masters, some of you may ask, what about masters? Yes, you can, because under the appel regulation, there are certain appel regulation towards it. So under the micro credential route, it is 31. There's a minimum age towards it one. All right, so you minimum age and this route is this. So current entry or the current one is this. Now, where do they get 23? Is because for you to do masters, normally you need your first degree. So after SPM 18, you do foundation 1 year 19. Then after that, 3 to 4 years for your degree, 23 lah. Okay. So then after that, +1 for your masters, so it's 24. Whereas for the appel route under micro credentials, my micro credentials under appel route is going to be 31. So it allows for people who are actually working. And these are certain other things that I just put it here because I wanted to show you that in Malaysia, our regulation for micro-credential is not something ad hoc nor laissez-faire. It's actually very, very well structured. Malaysia, very well structured. This is what it needs to do. Whether all institutions follow it or not, it's a different story, but it's actually very, very well structured itself. Okay, how are the recognition, what is the recognition of micro-credentials itself? Okay. And the final part on transformative, I've already gone through that, is on blended learning lah. Blended learning is the most fundamental aspect of taking the next step in learning itself. So blended learning, also known as hybrid learning, is a method of teaching that integrates technology and digital media with traditional instructor-led classroom activities. Now, giving students more flexibility to customize their learning experience. All right. So okay, hold on. Yeah, I'm just trying to suddenly jam. All right. Okay. Then over here, so basically, as I explained to you, the key aspect of blended is using technology. Now, the example I gave you about how my lecturer used to do the flipped classroom is really blended. All right. During that time, it is a style or a method of blended. All right. In the general aspect, today, it is your normal classroom learning with online learning is called blended lah, is to mix. However, the more you read about this terminology, how it is defined, it varies. The main thing that we need to understand when we talk about blended is the usage of different methodologies or methods in delivering the lesson itself. All right, based on students' requirement, what is needed by the student. All right, what the student should attain in the future. Okay. So that is blended. Now, many of you in your class, you are doing blended. You are definitely doing blended already, but it is not consciously. You are not cautious that that you are actually doing blended, but it is already in a way blended. So it is important for us to sometimes we take a step back to see what we are actually doing. How do we ensure students' achievement? How do we ensure that we meet what students want when they graduate from us? When they complete their formal education, and the key qualification, is it still relevant that we are doing today? All right, because this is just doing blended is the process, the method, the cara to achieve the goal. Okay. Now, it is like baking and so on. We follow a recipe, but sometimes with new technology, we do things differently, but the outcome can be the same. But if certain things that are good, don't change for the sake of changing. If it is good, it is good. You still have to use it. Okay. So that was blended is. So what are the advantages? Provide a safe learning environment, increase students' engagement, flipping the classroom improves comprehension. Now, in a matured class environment, when you flip, you get students to teach the class, to conduct the class, it improves comprehension. Why? Students attain knowledge on their own. Once you attain, you find on your own and it's not given to you, you can remember. Remember last time, before GPS, before Waze, before Google Maps, we used to be very good in getting our way through. Now, with Google Maps and Waze, even though we go to the same destination 3 times, if we switch off the Google Map, the 4th time you will get lost. You will still get lost because our mind now is programmed to follow. Whereas last time, you need to really pay attention to landmarks. Turning on the left, then turn right. Then once you know, you learn. That your gray matter is required to generate information to analyze. Now no need. Now follow. That is why the thing about Google Maps is it makes us followers, which I am guilty also lah. Turn left here, turn left. Maybe a longkang masuk saja lah. Okay, sometimes because that is what it is. We want the convenience of it. All right. So it is the same. When we teach our students, we do a lecture, they absorb, they take. So it's very easy. They don't put effort into it. But when they put effort, they will remember. Okay. Students have more autonomy over their learning, their own autonomy, their own ownership. Efficient use of instructor time, yes. Gather learning data for better insight. It's beneficial for us as educators. We know what is effective, what is not effective for a particular class. Assess and enroll more students. Basically, it can be good. If we are doing a blended aspect where there is a big percentage of online delivery, then you can manage your manpower in such that you may be able to enroll more students or get more students to a particular course itself. But the 2 key aspects, some of it are financial, but the 2 key aspects is the one that I highlight in red, which is classroom, flipping the classroom improves comprehension of students. This is a definite. Okay. And students have more autonomy over their learning. All right. Self-autonomy is very important. They need to be responsible for their learning. We are there to facilitate, but students are responsible for their own learning. Okay. They do well. We always tell the students, pat yourself on the back. I was there to help you, but you are the one that got yourself to the end of the journey. If they don't do well, don't blame teachers. You are the one that didn't put your effort. It's called autonomy. All right. So this is key in way that students actually learn. All right. So in summary, we like the word summary. Yes, it's a Friday. Education is very disruptive. I was just telling my colleagues yesterday when we were discussing about AI. And then when the more I read, the more I use, the more I see, I look at them and say, I better brush up on my baking skills and also my sambal making for nasi lemak, because I do not know how long more I can keep my job. AI is leaps and bounds, leaps and bounds. Will it take over what I'm doing? Maybe. Okay. And for me, I look at it as a very high chance, unless we change the whole playing field. That's why I stressed earlier on there. We don't teach students knowledge. Don't be the purveyor of knowledge. We be the one that educates students how to attain knowledge. How to attain knowledge are skills which are still very human at the moment. All right. Because it is customized to the individual. That one we will still excel. All right. How do we attain it? But if we are there just to give knowledge only, cannot. Because technology will overshadow us on that. Okay. And the thing about technology is, I think some of you play games right now. I want to use this example. PlayStation, we had the 4, we had the 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there's the 5. 5 has been out for 3 years, but some of us managed to only get it recently. One thing that about PlayStation from 4 was they had this virtual headset. Virtual, virtual talk, you see, what, 3D. From 4 to 5 was like 3 generations, It's so different. It's so different. I do follow the tech world and kind of thing. 4 to 5, the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, VR 1 to VR 2 for these two different consoles was or is two separate totally different. It was leaps and bounds, It was leaps and bounds. So sometimes you wonder, when we talk about the VR, what do you call that, VR glasses or VR kind of thing, how it will even impact the way as us as educators. I foresee a world and an environment, as I was telling my colleagues over here, in early childhood. Early childhood, now we are in early child education. We have the diploma. A lot of students, a lot of parents are very worried. Oh, cannot go out, cannot touch this, that one, that. But experiential learning is so important. There'll be a time where you go for classes, you do this, and suddenly the teacher tells all the students, okay, guys, wear your headsets. We are now going to be in the Statue of Liberty. And let's walk through. I want all of you to follow me. For those of you who have tried the current technology VR, virtual reality, the current technology VR that you are buying now, the PlayStations or the Oculus or whatever, is actually already obsolete. There are new technologies that are coming in. It is already so good. It is already so good. You can literally walk, you can literally feel, you can see Mona Lisa, you can turn left and right and so on. Experiential learning at home in class. And that is where it is going. Why is it not implemented? Cost law at the moment, cost. Okay, cost. But will it be? I foresee this is where it's going to go. And I foresee even without using the mask, that three-dimension world will be now on your computers. The screen, three-dimension screen is already available, guys. It's already available. Nintendo started it in the Nintendo 3DS, which is a video game console, more than 10 years ago. Small console, play games, 3-dimension. You can actually see 3-dimension without glasses, without anything special. Just look at the screen. And that was at its infancy. Today, it's a total different ballgame. This is what we see, the future of higher education in a disruptive world. All right. And why do we need to know? Because we are in this field. We are in this field. Everybody is in the same field, education. Okay. The only thing, the differs is our knowledge, ability, and our initiative to take the next step, which leads us to what we are doing now. ODL, micro-credentials, hybrid. Are we pioneers? Are we leaders? No, no, no. Actually, to be honest, when we go into this now, I'm telling you all, we are already late, very late, very late. People are already going leaps and bounds. Coursera has already been there for how long? 10 years, more than 10 years already. That was micro-credential. Why? They're not law, scared law, no interest law, people don't want law, like that law. So now when everybody's on bandwagon, we also go on the bandwagon. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, in reality, wherever you guys go as educators, sometimes we need to take the lead, take the lead, and to be different. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, fellow friends, it's 11:20, 11:18. I hope the session has been entertaining and also beneficial to all of you. It is actually just an introduction to touch on what transformative learning is, all right, and how it drives us as transformative educators. So the whole idea here is just for you to open your eyes and let's try new things. And we need to be pioneers. We need to try, regardless of whether you stay in this organization or you go to a next organization or wherever. The fundamental belief should be still the same, because education is evolving at a pace that I myself am scared. Okay. Are there any questions so far? Anything you would like to highlight, you would like to ask? Can understand? Okay. Do you understand? Yep. Can I have some feedback? Because I don't see physically you. Okay. Can? All right. I think it's one of those Fridays. Okay. So I think with that, thank you very much. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Hi, Nadesh. All right. So thanks. If there's anything that you guys want to chat on in the future, feel free to drop by, send me a mail or anything. I'm actually pretty passionate about this. Something which we need to look into lah in the long run over here. All right. Thank you. Stay safe. Bye bye.